You know, I love emergency medicine, and I'm so grateful for everything I've learned and continue to learn, and talk about being prepared for any situation. That is emergency medicine, and um, that being said, I found myself as I was moving through my career in the emergency department where I would have these patients who were going for like the cath lab or getting thrombolytics for a stroke, or I just told them they had stage 4 lung cancer or something like that, right? And I know like what I have for these patients. I have the cath lab, I have the thrombolytics, I have the admission to the hospital. Um, but I always found myself talking to these folks about the underlying reason that they were in front of me, because it's one thing if you're minding your own business and a tree branch falls on you. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, right? But when your personal choices have led to an illness that's going to cause a great deal of suffering, and there's something we can do to fix that, I would far rather fix it than just be satisfied sending people to the cath lab over and over and over again. And working in rural South Carolina, where we were the only hospital 50 miles in any direction, you see the same people over and over again, and you know what they're dealing with, right? And they haven't been to dialysis, or they fill in the blank what it is. You get to know them real well. And I found myself taking the time, to talk to the 40-year-old having the heart attack and tell him, dude, you have to lose 50 pounds. You have to stop smoking. You have to go exercise. And if you don't do these things, I don't have enough pills or interventions in the world to save your life. You're going to die of this. Um, I just found myself doing that more and more and more. And honestly, like, it really reached kind of a fevered temp in COVID, just because I really felt like COVID brought home to roost all of our poor decisions as a society, right? Like the overcrowded living situations, the lack of sunlight, lack of exercise, shit diet, pardon my French, morbid obesity, the disconnection, the lack of personal relationships. If you asked me to, design a situation that exacerbated all of the worst parts, like our worst things, the worst things that we have going on as a group right now, I could not have designed it better. And that really is what kind of broke me. It wasn't seeing the COVID patients. It was knowing that, like, I'm not going to get sick. I'll be fine. And in fact, like, that was something that my kids struggled with, because they knew that, they knew that mommy was taking care of all the sick people. And I think they also kind of knew, like, their friends didn't want, their friends' parents didn't want them playing with their kids, because they knew I was around the COVID patients all day. But, there were a couple times where they were little, they were like 3 and 6, right? And they're crying worried about mommy. And I was like, dude, I'm going to be fine, because mommy weightlifts. Why do you think mommy got all that equipment on the back porch? Because mommy takes care of herself, and we like, if I get sick, it'll be okay. And so that's really, frankly, the time where I just stopped being satisfied with just being the band-aid provider. I really needed, for my own sanity, to really dig into with people, into their, not just their illness, but into their health, and like, what can we do different about that?